On an ordinary Thursday evening, the kind that feels deceptively calm, we sat in the living room, the TV casting a dim glow with a reality show we barely noticed. Her fingers toyed nervously with her wedding ring, a quiet sign of unease I'd come to recognize. My chest tightened, sensing the weight of what was coming. "What's too much for you now?" I asked, though dread already gnawed at me. She waved a hand between us, her tone firm yet edged with sorrow. "This. The act we keep up, the growing chasm, the silence that speaks louder than we do. I don't feel like we're ourselves anymore." Her words landed softly but carried a finality that sank deep, like the last note of a song fading into silence. For months I'd seen her pulling away, her hand no longer reaching for mine during our evening strolls, her gaze fixed on her phone through meals, her responses absent-minded. I tried to close the distance with small acts. Bouquets on weekends, planned evenings she'd back out of, late-night talks that dissolved into emptiness. But I hadn't realized how far she'd drifted. Her eyes held no anger, and that cut deeper. Anger would have hinted at fire, something to hold on to. Instead, her calm was the kind that settles when someone has already decided to leave. I stared at the floor, fear rising like a shadow from the past. "Is there someone else?" I murmured, my voice barely audible. Her lips parted briefly, then closed. "No," she said after a pause that felt too long to believe. "It's not about anyone else. It's about us, about how I don't recognize who we've become." The clock on the wall ticked on, each sound marking the approach of an unavoidable goodbye. I wanted to argue, to recall the years we'd endured together. The early dawns, the car that always broke down, the cramped apartment where we built a life from nothing. But my words stuck, and I sat there, watching our marriage unravel, strand by delicate strand. Finally she stood. "I think I should stay at my sister's for a bit," she said. It was a gentle way of leaving, no shouting, no blame. Just a quiet departure framed as needing time. I nodded, too numb to speak. "If that's what you need," I managed to say. That night she packed. No large bags, just a small one with essentials, enough to make it real but not enough to admit it was final. Each zip of the bag carved into me. At the door she paused. "Don't wait up," she said gently. "I'll text when I'm there." The door closed softly, and the silence that followed throbbed with all we'd left unsaid. For the first time in years I entered our bedroom alone. Her side of the bed seemed smaller, as if it was already letting me go. Sleep eluded me. Her words looped in my mind. "I don't feel like we're ourselves." What did that mean? Was love supposed to be an endless reinvention? Wasn't enduring the tough times a form of love too? By morning the apartment held the faint echo of her absence, the subtle scent of her lavender shampoo, the fading trace of her perfume, the ghost of her presence. I made coffee and sat at the kitchen table, staring at her untouched cup. My phone stayed quiet until nearly midday. "Got to my sister's. Don't worry." Two brief lines from the woman who once sent me pages about her hopes. I didn't respond, I had no words. But as the day dragged on, the turmoil in my heart settled into something steadier. A quiet determination. I wasn't ready to let her go without understanding where we'd gone wrong. So I drove. Not frantically, not out of panic, but with calm purpose. 20 miles of practicing words that wouldn't sound desperate. When she opened the door, her eyes widened slightly, surprised but not cold. "Evan, I said I needed time," she started. "I know," I replied, my voice softer than I'd planned. "But I have something to say first." She sighed, her arms folding tightly. "Evan, this won't change anything." I held her gaze, my hands trembling but my voice steady. "3 words," I said quietly. Her expression shifted just enough to let me go on. "I remember us." Her brow furrowed. "What?" "I remember us," I said again, slower, intentional. "Not just the arguments or the quiet. I remember how you'd hum while cooking dinner. How you'd wake me before your late shifts to say goodbye, even if I'd forget by morning. I remember how we'd plan our future like it was already ours." She looked away, her eyes glistening but cautious. "Memories don't fix what's broken, Evan." "I know," I said, stepping closer. "But forgetting does worse. That's what we've been doing, isn't it? Letting the little moments fade, hiding them under distance and stubbornness." She stayed quiet, the air between us heavy but not yet sealed shut. It was waiting. "I'm not here to plead," I continued. If you need to go, I'll let you. But before you decide it's done, I need you to know something. You think the love's gone because it doesn't feel like before. But love isn't supposed to stay new forever. It's meant to weather the times when it feels worn. Her lip trembled and she stared at her hands. You make it sound so simple, she whispered. It's not, I said, a faint smile breaking through. It's effort. It's choosing the same person even when it's tough. I stopped showing up for you, Emma. I thought being there was enough, but you needed to feel noticed to feel like you still mattered. And I let you down there. For a long moment she didn't move. Then, barely audible, she said, You think it's just that? No, I replied. I think it's everything. But I also think it's not too late. She turned toward the window, her back to me. You really think 3 words can mend years of breaking? I paused, choosing my words with care. No. But I think they can remind you why it's worth trying again. Silence hung between us, her breathing soft and uncertain. Then she turned, her eyes shining with tears. You always do this, she said, her voice low. You say the one thing that makes it hard to turn away. I let out a small laugh, a mix of relief and weariness. That's not my aim, I said. I just want you to know we're still here, beneath all the chaos. Her eyes met mine, and for the first time in months, I saw a flicker of something familiar. Not love, not yet, but recognition, a memory stirring. Evan, she whispered, shaking her head. I don't know if I can just go back and pretend it's okay. Don't, I said quickly. Don't pretend. Start fresh. Come home, not because it's easy, but because it's real. Tears fell down her cheeks before she could stop them. You make it sound like we can just start over. I smiled faintly. We can't start over. But we can rebuild. She took a step toward me, then another, until the space between us disappeared. Her forehead pressed against my chest, her shoulders shaking. For the first time in what felt like years, I wrapped my arms around her, not to hold her back but to let her breathe. We stood there silent as the world outside moved on, cars passing, birds singing. But in that small apartment time seemed to pause. Finally she pulled back, looking up at me. You remember us? She asked softly. I do, I whispered. Do you? She hesitated, her eyes searching mine. Maybe I'm beginning to. Something in me softened. Not victory, not relief, but a fragile, imperfect hope. Later we sat on the couch. The same couch where she'd told me she needed to leave. The air felt lighter, unburdened. We had no clear path, no grand promises, but we had a moment of truth, and that was more than we'd had in ages. Her hand reached for mine, cautious, her fingers fitting into place like they were meant to be there. Some things don't disappear, they wait. I'm not saying this solves everything, she said quietly. I'm not asking it to, I replied. I just want to learn how to love you again. She smiled, tears catching the light. Then maybe that's where we start. Outside, the evening light filtered through the blinds, painting soft gold across her face. For the first time in months she truly looked at me, and I felt something stir. Not the spark of new love, but the steady rhythm of something rediscovered, something worth fighting for. Sometimes the words that save a marriage aren't I love you or I'm sorry. Sometimes they're simply I remember us. And that night, for the first time in a long time, we did.